Hi everyone, and welcome to this new ReachX series. My name is Mehdi, and we're welcoming today Soundare Adavane, who is the co-founder and CEO of Joltee. Sundar, pleasure to have you today.
Pleasure.
Sundar, so it's you have an Insurtech based out of Paris. So we can speak about like your Insurtech. We can also speak about the latest trends in terms of EVs and in terms of like the different elements out there. But before kicking off, for those who don't know ReachX, so ReachX is an FCA regulated platform offering private markets, deal origination, investment consulting and CFO services throughout the network of like 2,500 independent professional advisors. Um, so maybe to kick off, Sundar, before we have a chat about the trends and different EV and insurance trends, just want to tell our audience that we are having a keynote now for 20 minutes that will be done then in 20 minutes, as I mentioned, and then after that we'll follow it up with a 10 minutes Q&A. Sundar, maybe for the people who don't know you and who don't know Jolty, can you please introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what is Jolty?
Yes, sure. Thanks, Mehdi. Thanks for the introduction.
Thank you.
So as you said, yeah, we have created Jolty. So my name is Soundare Adavane. I'm the one of the co-founder of Jolty and also the CEO. I was working previously for an insurance company called Generali, first in France, then in Italy for the group. Where I was in charge of various activities regarding data science implementation in different aspects of the value chain, the value proposition of an insurance product. And inside these, let's say, area in my daily work, I just realized that there was an opportunity for a business, a specific one for electric vehicles, and I would say pay how you drive product. Even for me, pay how you drive is restricted. I would say to find another way to price and to propose an insurance product for EV drivers. So Jolty was born, and we are the insurance for electric cars in France. So we are starting in France first. By the way, we recently been selected in the top 10 fintech to invest on in this year. So I was very glad for it, and thankful for Challenge magazine. And what we are proposing is a dedicated and specialized EV coverage for electric cars, and we are proposing also a charging pass that is co-branded with our partner EDF. And we are proposing also Jolt. So what is Jolt? It's a kind of currency that a virtual one that the EV drivers, the insured customers, can spend in, let's say, a lot of aspects around his mobility needs. Could be to pay scooters, like for instance, e-scoot. Could be to pay car sharing or yeah, car sharing vehicles like ZT. Can be used also to pay its own insurance product for the next month. It can also be used to pay charging, to charge, to load credits in his charging pass from Jolty. And we are more and more extending the use of this Jolt for our customers. So this is what we are doing.
That's really good. And in terms of like the challenges today that you've seen that is the industry facing right now from an electric vehicle perspective, what are the opportunities that you see right now, especially in the European market, when it comes to kind of insuring these kind of vehicles and also being able to cope with the trends, right? Like we doesn't come as a surprise to anyone. We are seeing more and more electric vehicles on the roads. We're seeing more and more also like mobility elements, whether it's like electric scooters, etc. So obviously different trends, different needs this is like the insurance companies, so there's you guys need to, and also the big ones, the historical insurance companies need to adapt. Otherwise, they will at some point maybe have a Kodak moment, which we don't wish for anyone. But so what are the trends that you're currently seeing right now when it comes to kind of like having these electric vehicles, out in the market, and especially in Europe?
Yeah. So I would say several trends, but one converging point, which is the way that people are using now services. I will say could be Spotify, Deezer, Netflix, and so on. You want to pay a subscription fee. You don't want to take care about, let's say, doing a lot of paperwork and so on. So you want to pay, let's say, um, every month a subscription, and you want to have everything included inside. So it's a trend that has been that is also now we can see that in France, from different car dealerships and car manufacturers, where I think Fiat recently just started to propose these with no commitment, I would say, contracts to rent monthly your car, and you can stop whenever you want. And it's going again and again into this way of, let's say, the willingness to have something driven by budget, and to have a visibility on a monthly basis one. So for the insurance product, we realize that most of the time people are buying, let's say, phones, people are buying are renting cars, people are renting material and goods, and there is an opportunity to attach an insurance contract on it, because you can cover these materials, and this has value. So we just realized that we need something very digital, something that is very clear and transparent for the client, and something that is very easy to subscribe. That's why we also design and we have integrated these aspects in our product. And regarding the EV trends, what we just realized that when we started speaking about Joltee 1 year, 2 years ago, even 2 years ago, people were saying no one will invest on your startup because electric is not trendy at all. And when
Yeah, that was
yeah,
very, yeah, that was very funny.
yeah, and at the point we are wondering, like, maybe we are, let's say, too early, and it's not good to be too early because you're not fitting your market. And we just realized that you have some trends that are coming up in, let's say, Sweden, or let's say in countries where people were more sensitive on, I mean, more careful on the environment aspect. And we had the opportunity, I would say, with the COVID effect, that people just, let's say, change their way of using mobility, I would say. So they are not going every day to work. They realize that there is an environment aspect, even if it was something coming from health at first. It has been extended to the well-being of the planet on itself. So we arrive in the window, let's say, where also the market was driven in this way to be more responsible and to go to, let's say, more economical way of transportation, I would say. And the electric option was one of the options on the table. So we saw the rise of the sales on electric, that was also supported by governments with a lot of bonus that has been also extended on it. We saw a lot of, I would say, regulation regarding EV manufacturing. So car manufacturers were, let's say, I won't say obliged, but they were, let's say, incentivized and uh, yeah, also obliged to.
Yeah, yeah, in a way, yeah. There's always a mix, I think,
Yeah, there is
between
always a mix. Yeah,
between regulation and also trends.
exactly.
Obviously, one
Yeah.
drives the other.
Yeah, but the principle of being driving by the monthly basis subscription and the usage, we
Yeah.
just realized that people are not using their cars like they used to before, and they want something that is, let's say, around their mobility, around the lifestyle that they have today. That's why we want to be the what we call the customer lifestyle partner. So we want to be very, let's say, um, not the contract that you are obliged to subscribe, which is an insurance, but we want to be, let's say, the one that is providing you several needs, answering several needs around your mobility aspects.
And like roughly, just how many like electric vehicles generally do we have any kind of like data around that? How many electric vehicles are we expecting to kind of have in the market within the next few years or so?
Yeah, yeah. So the growth on electric sales is not even one digit or two digit. It's like it's even more than 200% every year, and we also saw that recently. So what we saw also, it's figures that are coming also from big association on electric market, such as Avere, for instance, that are printing a lot of time articles regarding the boom, the increase of electric cars. And when you see the, let's say, the market on the car sector, you see the shift in terms of percentage on the car that is going to, let's say, um, electric or plug-in vehicles. So it's also a way of you have to check the figures of how many electric cars are sold today. We also have to see the percentage of cars that will be turned in production would be turned into electric for the future. So, and when we speak about the future, we're not speaking about in 10 years or 20 years, we're speaking about next year or even the next month. So you have car manufacturers, for instance, Volvo, they are saying that it will be 100% electric. You have many car manufacturers today that are going in that way. So it's always good to see about the figures. So even if today one third, less than one third is let's say hybrid electric and electric cars, what we have to see is let's say the way that is turning inside. So there is the speed of it, and
Yeah.
this we also could be balanced also with what we have in terms of international exposure today, and the component and so on. But we have also effects like social effects that will push people to convert, like the increase of the gasol
Yeah.
price and so on. So people are today, let's say, more, let's say, before we were, let's say, in a mood where car manufacturers were forced to propose. Now, people are, let's say, more keen on going into the demand aspect. So, I think this trend is very interesting, and probably the figures that we have today is not showing correctly the what will arrive or what is arriving today. So I will mitigate the figures regarding the EV cars, because today, and when you see also on newspapers and all the strategic reports from all car manufacturers, we are going into 100 EV cars, 100%.
Well, okay. So we are expecting at some point to kind of like have a full setup, of almost like EV cars throughout Europe.
Yeah, when I say EV, I also include hydrogen. So
Yeah.
um, I think something that in any case you will have an electric solution to move your car, I would say.
Yeah.
So in terms of battery.
Now, my question to you now is regarding insurance,
Yep.
because the insurance part is key, in kind of like helping as well that shift into more electric cars and helping the industry as well move forward. Um, how what is the roughly like the kind of like the increase in terms of like the market trends, like, and also the increase in terms of like the market as well? Do you see kind of almost like a single digit or double digit every year, of in terms of like demand for insurance that are specifically for electric vehicles?
So today, and especially in France, we are the only one that has done the let's say the bet of on the EV, 100% EV cars. And we saw, and it's a good point that you're making, Mehdi, because we are seeing more and more big insurer player that are now proposing, let's say, specific product for EV. But it's just about turning and shaping an existing product for fossil fuel cars. And so it's not really going from, let's say, the specificities on electric cars and the demands and the needs and so on to build a product. It's more, let's say, bottom yeah, it's not a bottom up approach, more top down one, where you have your insurance product. This is the way that you are designing it. This is the way that you are making your reserves and so on. And from that, you say, okay, I will say that electric cars, um, people that are driving it are more careful. So I will put like 15%, 15% reduction. Actually, I would say decrease on the price regarding the fossil fuel one, and I will see how it will react. So we are still in that way today, where the big insurance players are dumping price from a marketing budget aspect, without having enough, let's say, history on is electric driver driving well or not. And that's why we wanted to start from the customer, so the driver. We are designing now a product and a feature that is, let's say, monitoring the way that you drive, and we are pushing you, I would say, a suggestion to improve the way that you drive. And these we want to be at the closest point and the closest experience of driving, which means at the end of each trip, we will print you a score, a scoring one, where you will see also, based on four main criteria, how to improve it for your next trips. And you will also collect these jolts, this famous one that I was speaking about earlier. And the idea is to see that the drivers will be responsible, will be more responsible, will be more careful, instead of doing the bet of reducing the price at the first stage, then increasing it, because you see that at the end, electric cars are, and we see the converging point about the price. Electric cars will be, everyone could buy one at a moment, so the price will be meeting the one for the fossil fuel one. And we don't want to make this promise of doing a very low price at the beginning and increasing the price. We want to do the fair one from the beginning to the end, and to propose, let's say, this kind of fidelity program where the driver will express himself and will show that he deserves to pay less and less from time to time.
Okay, super cool. So maybe one last quick question for you, and we have like another like minute or so before opening up the floor to the questions. What is currently happening in the world is, despite, I mean, it has consequences that we don't see yet and we don't like comprehend yet, especially for the the European, like the Ukrainian crisis that is right now happening in the Ukrainian war, the war in Ukraine. Sorry. So the idea here is to kind of like all as well like understand if from a macroeconomic you see these kind of like challenges that are happening in Europe and this really difficult context as a almost a catalyzer, as an accelerator of changing into like more electric vehicles. Because so far I guess people who are owning an electric vehicle also own a like conventional so-called vehicle, like a gas vehicle. The prices are really skyrocketing these days, and so do you think, according to you, will there be a shift of people kind of almost buying as a trend their first car as an EV, and then not
Yeah.
going through that almost like kind of like gas vehicle, and then that I'm gonna use for like long trips, and then an electric vehicle that I'm gonna use for urban trips?
Yep. A very interesting point of view. I will answer in two, let's say, in two ways. So the first one regarding the fact that um, people that are embracing electric car today and that have already a fossil fuel one, they tend to use more and more the electric car instead of the fossil fuel one, because they just realized that uh, 80% of the time and even more, they use it to do less than 30 kilometers per day, just to go to back and forth to work. And they just realized that for going to weekend, it's enough to have your electric cars. So they realized that their fossil fuel car is depressing the value from time to time. So they will have some issues to sell it. Also, when a market is going more and more green, you have, for instance, sorry for the English speaking spoken public,
No
but
worries. No worries.
I speak about France. In France, in Paris, and in France more nationally, we tend to ban diesel cars. So it means that people that are still their fossil fuel cars, they will face difficulty and issues to go more into the option of selling their fossil fuel car. And these make more, um, let's say I would say more effort and more option into. Sorry, we just said that I lost the connection.
Yeah,
Oh,
I can still hear you. Yeah.
yeah, you can still hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can still hear you.
Okay, because someone told me that we had issue with internet connection.
No,
So I
no
would say that,
worries.
yeah. So I was just saying that this option, we see today there is a trend, and there is also a study from Enedis on that regarding the owner the ownership also of electric cars today. And these people that are still there have still their fossil fuel cars, they tend to sell it as quick as possible. So I would say that
No.
we, the time will show us how it
Yeah.
will go. And regarding the crisis, the war crisis, I think this will impact all the sectors,
Yeah.
particularly in the energy sector. For sure, the impact is more visible into the oil sector. So we see it clearly that and it's a good effect for embracing the EV cars, because you see that there is a budget issue,
Yeah.
and there is a budget advantage to go for electric cars. And but again, let's say you saw that the biggest nuclear plant was in Ukraine, in Europe. So I don't know how it will impact the energy, also the electricity
Yeah.
on the future. So I think it's very difficult today to, and if we had the answer, I think that we will be already covered regarding
Yeah.
that.
Of course. Yeah. Of
I
course.
think it's very difficult to
Yeah.
assess what will be the consequences. But we are
No,
doing the business, and people are driving. So
absolutely. No, absolutely. And your point earlier about like cost of the electric vehicles, becoming almost like cheaper or getting into the same kind of cost of the gas, vehicles is going to definitely, impact a lot, because that was one of the main kind of like blocking points for a lot of people who wanted to kind of make that shift from a gas vehicle into an electric vehicle. It's like, okay, I'm going to buy this vehicle. It's going to cost 2 or 3 times more, and I cannot afford that. So if that prices almost get closer to the conventional cars, and then therefore a full recharge for the same number of kilometers is going to be like way cheaper than for a
Yeah.
gas vehicle,
Yeah.
then it's going to be a no-brainer. Then there is of course the issue of the how many kilometers can you have, and like the distance, etc., and how long can you go and how far can you go with an electric vehicle. um, Thank you very much, Sundar. Really cool chat. Opening up now the floor to the questions. So feel free, please, to ask any question you want to Sundar, and yeah, happily take them and answer
Yeah,
them.
thank you, Mehdi. Thank you for the interview.
Super cool to chat
Yeah.
with you as always, Sundar. Quick question from, I think, a gentleman called Osman. He says, "Are you hiring?" It's kind of like a very generic question, but yeah,
Yes, yes, we are hiring,
yeah,
and we are constantly hiring
yeah.
as a startup. Yeah, feel free to DM me.
Hmm.
But again, we are focused in France first, so we probably won't be sexy for him.
Yeah. There are some people who are also dropping some messages. So there is one message that says, it's a message from uh, Justine, who says, "We wish you the best of success and maybe hope to see you launch Joltee one day in Quebec," which is kind of cool.
Yeah, nice.
So uh,
Yeah, why not?
so yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
I see that you have a lot of traction out there. So for next country expansion. So any other questions, feel free to drop them on the chat, whether you are on LinkedIn or listening to us on any other platform. Feel free to go to the chat, ask Sundar a question, and by the time we get like the next question, probably one question on my end, by the time the audience warms up a little bit. Um, Today, how many people are you at Joltee, and what is the kind of, I would say, the next kind of step for you guys as a company? Because you mentioned earlier, and I found it absolutely fascinating, that you are an insurtech company. You are the first French insurtech company, and please stop me if I'm wrong, but the first French insurtech company who made a bet on the full EV. Um, and so, what is the outlook for the company? What are you guys trying to kind of like achieve within the next like couple of years? And how many people are you right now in the team?
Yeah, good question. So today we are 14 on the team. I didn't say 40, I say 14.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we have many, let's say, assets today, and we are quite well balanced between women and men. Also, it's something it's a value that we want to. It's one of our value, this diversity. And let's say the roadmap, the next steps for Jolty is definitely to go to more, let's say, to onboard more vehicles, so to be able to ensure like motorcycle, bicycle, electric scooters, and go on more and more into any type of mobility vehicle that will be electric. And this is one big, and we are already implementing it. On the next steps, for sure, we also want to spread. I would say, sorry for Quebec, but uh, probably first pan-European one. So we'll go on the countries that where we already studied the market. And for sure we will at a point and at a moment go overseas, and I hope in Canada. And these will arrive, but these arrive also with our funding strategy, I would say, because this requires, let's say, capital to set up a new office and to drive a new to face a new regulation, because today we have agreement to do our activity in European Union. Yeah, but I mean, to extend, we need to face some obstacles that we will be glad to face. and these will be the next steps. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. So a big thank you. We're wrapping up now. A big thank you, Sundar, for joining us today. And super exciting times for yourself and for the Jolty team. I wish you all the best, guys, for what's next.
Thanks.
And
I will share.
thank you very much. And thank you very much for joining us on this session today.
Thank you. Thank you, Mehdi. Thank you, everyone.